Welcome to another episode of the Financial Wellness Podcast. اليوم معنا the consultants at Atlantis Group, and we have a guest, Philippe Reza, who is a founder and CEO of more than one company, and we are here to discuss what's going on in the world again. So let's start with the first topic. Geopolitically, الدنيا عم تتغير, the world is crazy, and we don't know what the standards are anymore. So what's going on? Is it a power play, يعني حرب تحت الطاولة, ولا العالم وصل لمطرح بطل قادر غير إنه يفوت ببعضه?
The Middle East has been always the place where conflicts get settled around the world. It's a power play between two axes, واضحين. And I think before resuming this outcome, we will not have a clear path of visibility about stability, at least in the region and also across the globe.
The globe has an issue. I don't think anywhere there is peace. عم نحكي at least market peace, right? Everybody has issues now. Europe is not great. The US is not great. مش عارفين شو راح يصير. The East is not doing well. Middle East, big question mark, attracting some people from around the world. What do we expect going forward? And what is really going on? What is the reason for this unrest everywhere?
أنا in my opinion definitely صارت واضحة إنه في قسم كبير من العالم they're fed up with the US control and the power of the US over the globe. فخلص في هالforces اللي عم بيطلعوا. Mostly BRICS is really trying to be the big power, the next big power. Most likely the uncertainty will continue لحد ما يصير في balance. I don't think we're gonna be in a single power world anymore. Multi-powers world is gonna be, BRICS is gonna be a big component. The US / UK will also be a component. ويوروب somewhere in the middle اللي هي دايما قصتها كانت علقانة بين الطرفين. بدي أرضي هيدا ولا أرضي هيدا. Economically, how do I want to play this game?
Okay, but today there is no standard. Gold is crazy. The stock market is crazy. So everything is like going upward, and at the same time unemployment is high. ما عم نفهم شيء. عادة هول بيشتغلوا عكس بعض. So Johnny, what do you think?
So I think there's a lot of variables اللي عم بتصير. في عنا أول شيء geopolitical risk, that's a variable. وعندك economic risk, that's a variable. وعندك financial risk is a variable too, يلي عم بتصير بين أمريكا ويوروب وبريكس and all of that. عم نشوف مثل ما أنت عم تقول إنه الجولد عم بيعلى, stock market all time high, و a lot of cryptocurrencies كمان عم بيعلوا. I think the main driver behind them is that people are fearful. ما بدهم يخلوا معهم cash. وهذا الفير is coming from, إذا بدك, إنه we can all see those crises unfolding. We can all see إنه there is uncertainty. Usually بالuncertainty we keep cash, but I think the investors فهمانين إنه keeping cash is not a good option. لأنه when you are issuing bonds على فوائد واطية or you lower rates, while inflation is still relatively high, at the end, and after 3-4 years of investing in that market, وقت اجي اسحب مصرياتي I won't be making an ROI اللي هو حرزين.
أنا وناطر الستوك ماركت تاخذ opportunities.
Yeah.
الدولار عم بيتراجع بشكل سريع كتير.
صح.
أنا خايف أترك مصرياتي بالبنك. فعندي مشكلة, فما عم بترك مصاري وما عم بيكون في liquidity.
So لازم أعمل investments.
ولازم أعمل investments. عم بعمل investment أكتر, عم خلي كاش أقل. بطلنا مثل أيام زمان ناطرين opportunity. So, Lean, what do you think is going on? How is this related between the banks, the governments, and the market?
I agree with what Bashir said earlier. في a big power shift عم بتصير. مزبوط, هي it's a fight that is إذا بدي أقول behind the scenes, but it is becoming kind of more obvious day to day. بس في شغلة نحن عم ننسيها إنه اليوم كمان speaking about banks and what is going on, في big shift away from SWIFT, so they are actually creating a regional payment facility. يعني للبريكس مثلا China بصير عندها its own facility, emerging markets Asia بصير عندها their own facility.
Will the US allow this in your opinion?
This is actually the big question, but for me we are witnessing a big shift of power. So I agree إنه the power ما رح تضل dominant by the US, رح تتوزع على several countries and powerful actually countries in the world. يعني مثلا for example the UAE and Saudi Arabia today or aligning with the BRICS, not because they're shifting away from the US or running away from the US. بالعكس, they are kind of hedging the risk away from the dominant US.
I think the whole world is now hedging against the dominance of the US dollar because it panned out in a place where everybody is in debt. So if we go back to history, to the time where the US separated gold from their currency, from the dollar, they started printing a lot of money. Going into today, everybody's in debt and nobody is able to pay that debt. Why? Because the banks don't have money, the investor is investing the money, they're not keeping the money in the bank. Banks cannot take loans from the governments, and so the governments cannot pay their debt. What is going to happen in that direction, Philippe?
I think there is a trial to create a power play between the US and the rest of the East, if you want, including BRICS. But I don't think it's going to have an impact on what the US will decide to do. Because it's clear the last that was good 3 years ago. 3 years ago, everything was under the cover, no wars, tension, crisis being dealt with behind the curtains. And then 3 years ago, wars started. And we are seeing there is a clear hegemony of the US and their allies in those wars.
It's now clear that the US has supremacy, military, وماركتس وintelligence. عم بيكون كتير واضح هذا الشيء بكل الترايلز around the world, صح؟
But on the other hand, the US debt is growing. Previous to those 3 years, the US debt was bought by the enemies of the US or the adversaries, China mainly. And now China is not buying. And at the same time, he cannot keep the interest rate of the dollar very high because he's paying a high interest on the debt. So he has something to figure out. And I think one of the things he is figuring out is how can he keep the liquidity very high so that his economy and his equity market stays pumping.
في conspiracy theory عم تطلع إنه أمريكا عم تلعب لعبة تحت الطاولة. Did you hear this? They're trying to go to crypto, attract more people to crypto. لأن نحن we've been wondering شو صار فجأة صار في ETF بيتكوين وكل هيدا. Take everybody to crypto, kill the dollar, move to crypto, reset the debt.
Since a lot of their adversaries are not going to be using the dollar or buying the dollar anymore, they needed to create something new. So there are two conspiracy theories. One of them, he's going to reset the crypto market and take the 37 trillion. And the other one that I've seen also circulating is the fact that he's going to move the US into a stable coin. And then that stable coin will be purchased around the world again. And that stable coin will create the profits he needs to pay whatever he needs to pay.
يعني.
Exactly.
Which one is more plausible in your opinion, Bashir?
Before we dive deeper into conspiracy theories, العالم لازم يخلوا بالهم إنه things are much, يعني if we look at bigger picture, الدولار ما راح يروح everyone we talk to, دولار the end of the dollar وهيك يا أخي مش رايح لمطرح anytime soon. دولار it's still a major currency, transactions wide worldwide. We all need it, we all use it. قد ما نحكي بريكس وما بريكس. So, but there's definitely a power play مثل ما قلنا بالأول. The reality is all these countries, they need each other. The US is a major consumer of products that are mostly fabricated in the East and mostly in China and India. They need each other. قد ما نحكي إنه هيدي الدولة ما بقى عم تشتري ديت من هون أو هيدي ما بقى عم بتصعب على هالدولة. They need each other. They always find a way to reach some sort of هيك common ground. على sometimes it takes the form of war بنحس نحن قالك بس إنه under the table, at least in my opinion, there's discussions, ongoing discussions موجودين. Guys, we need each other. حاجة نضحك على بعضنا. Let's see how we're gonna settle.
Hey, but Johnny had a theory about what do you call it? Separatism. إنه انعزال أمريكا هل فيها تكون انعزالية أو لا؟
concept of coming back to what Philippe and Bashir are saying about the dollar. في concept جديد بلش يبين خاصة in economics or in international relations يلي هي اسمه near shoring. يعني كل هالميجر باورز رح يرجعوا يخلقوا sphere of influence لإلهم and the countries يلي هن around them they fall back into the influence of those major power. At least this is what's being floated.
What does that mean in practice?
يعني that means we go back to a world where كنا قبل World War I يلي في عندك empire و this empire is a central force and it controls the peripheries and extracts wealth من البريفريز للسنترال باور.
أعطيني اكزامبل شو معقول تعمل أمريكا بهالحالة؟
سو أنا بس لأقول لك شو عم بيصير لأنه بدنا نرجع على موضوع الكونسبيرسي بس لنفهم ليه الدولار عم يضعف كمان. الدولار اللي يضعف منه شيء عاطل إذا أمريكا is playing the role إنه أنا ما بدي بقى to rely on getting cheap products from China So أنا باخد short term pain over 5, 6 or 10 years ضعف دولاري بقدر أعمل صناعات عندي بالبلد I can manufacture عندي بالبلد and then I'm self-sustained أكيد مع كندا بترول كندا والليبر فورس from Mexico I'm self-sustained and currently I don't need the world anymore. So what happened actually هون historically إنه at World War II أمريكا فاتت على العالم وقت كان العالم كله قتلوه. Everyone was at war, everyone's economy was destroyed. So America came in, did the Marshall Plan, swoop everyone على رخيص. And I think right now, when they sit down and discuss, I think the world is becoming too expensive for them. And they're the masters of buy low and sell high in simple terms. So I think they are isolating themselves back while maintaining أكيد power لأنه كثير بهمهم التريد راوتس كرمال يقدروا النيفي شيبس تبعهم القوة العسكرية تبعهم البحرية تقدر تمشي بالعالم بلا ما حدا يتعرض لها.
طيب بس في شغله هون. We hear a lot about this stuff, reshoring of jobs, of manufacturing and all of this. انه ما بدها حدا وبدها حالها. بذات الوقت Lean had a theory about the fact that America is not happy that its allies are diversifying and hedging. And maybe what's going on in France, which is suddenly disastrous, has something to do with an under the table, isn't that what you said? An under the table war. What is that about?
I had this theory because we know that in the past 4 years صار في كتير clash between ماكرون وترامب especially. وكمان وقتها غلوا الاويل على فرنسا وطلع ماكرون قال انه we thought you were our friends but انه شكله مش it's not the case. So I believe that خلص من ميدل ايست مش على الاخر بس انه عم بيخلص من ميدل ايست عم يبلش يقدر يطفي بهيدا الريجن راح على يوروب عم بتحرتق كثير صار لها especially اولا فرنسا يعني مع ماكرون. غير انه فرنسا عندها تقريبا around 20% من ال European Union's GDP so it has a big impact on Europe in general. اجى قال انا هيك ثيوري تبعي خلينا شوي نهز له الارض تحته انه it's not as safe as you think. So you need to be aligned with what we want. لأنه اليوم لما UAE و KSA و other countries عم بيروحوا صوب البريكس for diversification وما بقى حدا بده يشيل treasury bills وتشاينا عندها أكترية الجولد بالسنترال بانك عندها بده يرجع kind of يضب to be able to do the reshoring strategy.
احنا شفنا حركشة أمريكان ببلاد ببرازيل بأرجنتينا pushing them to dollarize and pushing them to buy debt and pushing them to come back as allies or as quasi allies يعزل البريكس الى اخره. It's known انه الامريكاني بده يسيطر على الكره الارضيه وبمحلات معينه عم نشوف حتى وقت تشاينا عملت الميليتري شو تبعهم الخبريه طلعت انه عندهم مكنه بتشيل سوارم اوف درونز وين ما الامريكاني التكنولوجيا تبعته اللي شفناها بالمنطقه عم تستعمل very precise و very advanced. يعني اليوم بعتقد عم ببين انه قد ما نقول American supremacy is going away it's not that simple. So Philippe, I want your opinion on something very important. اللي عم يحضر اليوم عم بيقول خي okay fine what do I expect? Is the world falling apart? Where is it going to end? شو كنا نقول أمريكا فرنسا اليوم عم نلاقي فرنسا عم تتطحبش أمريكا يمكن تعمل ريسيشن ميدل ايست كمان اليوم الاويل لعبه الاويل السعوديه شو عم بيصير فيها خربان الدنيا يوروب ما بقى في بلد بيوروب بينعاش فيه. So
let's look at the market as you have said. There is something that's happening that is not very ordinary. You have the gold all-time high and you have the US market, equity market is on all-time high also. That those two indications can be contradictory, but I think they can tell you also the fact that regardless of the noise that's happening around the world, equity is fine. Actually, there is a revolution going on, which is the AI revolution now, and this is fueling the US market.
Okay, بس خلينا نأكد على هذه النقطة. When you say equity is fine, تنوضح النقطة. Equity is fine يعني the stock market is okay.
The stock market is more than okay. It's printing all-time high every 2 days. Every 2 days the Nasdaq is hitting another all-time high.
بيقول لك okay بس ما هيدا إذا بج راحت.
We have to look at why is it doing like that. It's doing like that because there is a revolution. I believe what I call revolution happening, which is on the AI side, which can take us to another level very far. We can compare it to the industrial revolution after World War II when the US went in, all the world was broken. She had the arm, the industry, and she fueled the economy, its own economy and the world that way. And now it's repeating. It's repeating with a new thing that I call AI. And this is, from my point of view, the explanation how come gold is all-time high. It means we should be in crisis. All the economic data is mixed. I cannot say it's pointing towards the crisis, but it's mixed. Inflation is high, unemployment is high, but at the same time, industry and the GDP are still growing, and equity is high. So something is happening, and that something is positive.
طيب let's look at a potential future لحتى نقول نوع من predicting what's going to happen, okay? اليوم عندك بلاد بيوروب وضعها تعبان كتير. ال GDP is not moving much. Even their stock market, would you buy European stocks today? I don't know, right? Everybody's buying US stocks mostly. And maybe some diversification around it يعني. So شو لازم يصير؟ في ناس بتقول لك إذا ما كبرت ما بتصغر. It has to blow somewhere so that everybody settles to a new normal. لأنه هاي قصة وين كنا وين صرنا ما خصنا ببعض. طيب وين رايحين؟ رح نرجع مثل ما كنا؟ قادرة فرنسا ترجع لسيستم اللي بنسميه socio democratic and settle on this for the next 20-30 years, just focusing on welfare and high spending. قادرة ألمانيا تمشي بالسيستم تبعها اللي حالتها تعبانة. How do we look at this? Is it going to blow? And how do we account for a potential recession or not?
So كمان بس هيك شوي zoom out إنه يوروب حتى كل الكونتريز بالميدل ايست they depend on the US. So whether the US nearshore or reshore, it doesn't really matter. لأنه as long as they are paying their dues the US will protect them. Okay. هلا with all the recession that is going on in Europe, there's one sector that performed really well, اللي هو defense sector. لأنه there's a lot of investments going there, and I think part of this recession and all of this economic turmoil اللي عم تقطع فيه اليوروبيان يونيون لأنه أمريكا جبرتهم يعلوا spend on their NATO, or the 4% that they need to achieve in NATO on their defense and military spending. So هدول 2-3% يلي عم بيزون كل بلد هذا أثر عليه. بس in general the market will suffer. Their population will lose purchasing power, which is I think this is going to be global.
هو هذا اللي عم نحكي فيه جوني. عندك كل شيء طالع كاستثمار والاشغال عم توطى والانفليشن عم تعلى والpurchasing power عم تتعب. Something needs to blow. In my opinion, something needs to settle. إذا مش blow, at least soft landing, whatever you want to call it. Let's start with a theory, and I want your opinion on this, Bashir. Is the AI bubble? لأنه الستوك ماركت اليوم شو طالع؟ S&P 500 طالع 15%، ثلاث أرباعها ال 15% طالعة من الماجنيفيسنت 7 AI. ال 493 ستوكس بال S&P عاملين 6% السنة، يعني انفليشن ونكعة. وإذا بحسب مظبوط يعني كأنهم ما عاملين شيء, not much, right? So, do we consider that the AI bubble is going to blow?
If we just use the term AI تنضم كل شيء, we're not accurate. Then within AI, في so many different industries و sub-industries, وهو the treatment تبعهم, performance تبعهم is going to be very different. في فرق كبير بين إذا أنت you're a support for the whole AI industry, you're a company that manufactures chips like NVIDIA, or you're a company that manufactures the machines that do the chips, someone like ASML. You know, those companies هن الأساس. High demand دايما عليهم لأنه we need the infrastructure for the data center. That's one. هون there's no bubble. هون the best is yet to come, in my opinion. The bubble comes لما صار كل شركة بتفتح, كل ستارت اب بتفتح بتسمي حالها أنا AI operated وأنا الأب وأنا شو. هون yes. لأنه صرنا everything we call it AI صرنا يلا حط مصاري فيه just because it's AI. I do believe there's a bubble for those types of companies, but for the other companies that are supporting the infrastructure of the AI revolution, as you said it, which I don't, it is a revolution in my opinion, will come. How they're not going anywhere, they're staying. Are they going to be the big players? هن رح يضلوا لقدام for the next 10-20 years? No one knows.
Okay, let's look at this bubble اللي اسمها AI versus, let's say, the dot-com bubble in 2000. Okay, the dot-com bubble was what? What Amazon نزلت almost للإفلاس. اليوم Amazon is one of the biggest players in the world. يعني لو بعد نكزة كان ما عندنا Amazon اليوم، صح؟ What happened? Everybody got into the dot-coms, and then it became a bubble, and then it was overhyped, and then it bursted, right? Today, how much is AI intertwined؟ لأنه اليوم بتقول لك بده يفقع، شو يعني بده يفقع؟ يعني أكترية الناس عم تعمل استثمار فيه وصار overused overhyped، آخر شيء بيفقع شي مطرح وبيضل بيرجع بيترمم على الأساسيات اللي هن دايرينه أو خلقوه. اليوم الناس الشركات اللي involved ب AI إجمالا هول اللي بنعرفهم يلي هن they are building a lot of things around AI. So Lean, do you think that an AI bubble that is connected to food and cars and medicine and everything can blow or not?
If you want to compare the current AI situation with the dot-com bubble, we can see small differences that would say إنه مثل ما كان بشير عم بيقول the startups might blow, yes, but the big players بعدها بعيدة عليهم.
شو عم تقولي انت انهيار الماركت بيس على انه البابل ال7 لانه هول لاقطين الماركت من شعراته وشايلينه.
صح بس
the rest is like normal, not even recovered, and the market is in turmoil. مش in turmoil. The market is not as high as the Magnificent Seven, right?
Exactly, but back when وقت اللي صار الدوت-كوم bubble we noticed that إذا بدنا نقول البيتس كانوا based on dreams، ما كان في الانفراستراكشر للإنترنت back then، ما كان في solid core للتكنولوجي back then. هلا technology is set, the infrastructure is there.
ومحصورة أكثر، right?
محصورة أكثر en plus في cash flow بالcompanies they are making revenue and profits and the demand إذا بدي أقول الأبتك هي is based on real demand we can see.
So the demand is real. They have a lot of cash. محصورة بالشركات
most of the
AI bubble
companies
بالشركات الكبار اللي هن صاروا نوعا ما politicized and allowed to be that big. Competition is weak. بعدنا كنا عم نحكي ب تشاينا قد ايه بعيدة عن اليو اس، بعيدة شوي أو كثير بعيدة. So نحن عم نقول AI bubble is not going to blow up the market.
It's going towards a certain reset.
A certain reset. طب نحن اليوم بدنا نطلع ب شو لنا ال AI bubble. So AI is not a danger to the market, let's say. Recession, Philippe?
I think we went very near recession in the beginning of the year, and then the Trump administration was setting tariffs and creating all of this FUD with the Fed, and suddenly the GDP flipped positive and for 2 straight quarters, and again the equity market took off. The economic factors that were bad in the past were not worse. They are still they need a lot of improvement.
AI is pushing it up أكثر من ما هو economies are doing great, isn't it?
But the GDP is there. The GDP is not only AI. The GDP is Dow, S&P, and Nasdaq all combined, and it flipped positive for 2 straight quarters. So you cannot talk about recession anymore.
So people ask, what's the difference between how can a GDP be high, unemployment at all-time high, and purchasing power is damaged, and rates are high. طيب كيف؟ ما فهمت. ما الريت عالي ما فيك تتدين، وما عشان مانك قادر تصرف من وراء الانفليشن. Unemployment is high. وبذات الوقت.
I think this is what he's trying to do also. Except protecting the equity market, he's also trying to get, by him, the Trump administration, trying to get the Fed to reduce rate so that debt becomes easier for the consumer to spend and fuel. And people are in the equity market, this is what they are pricing. Not only the AI, so they are pricing the rate cuts. And this is what the gold is pricing. This is why the gold is high.
هي اللي الافريج بيرسون اليوم اللي نحن بنحكي معه كل يوم من شو خايف؟ عم بيقول لك هاي ما فهمت الجولد كله هاي. طب انا لو شيء واطي شيء عالي بشتري الواطي، بشتري العالي. I have hopes. I can see the future. No one can see the future now, right? So how does a person have clear optics about what might happen in the next, let's say, 5 years? حاسك بدك تقول شيء.
أنا بدي أقول شيء، بس أول شيء العالم كثير بتخاف من الريسيشن. I don't know why. I think recession is one of the best things that could happen for an investor. لأنه when a recession happens, it's the best time to buy. Okay. Coming back to كمان opportunities in the market, I think the best thing we can do right now is to diversify our investments across multiple sectors to be able to get that return يلي نحن we need to achieve, and not to keep cash. لأنه again مثل ما عم نقول أمريكا كأنها بأول مراحل الستاكفليشن
عم بتضعف الدولار
وتقوّد
لحتى تظبط حالها بالدين بعد عندهم سنه صح
وعندهم برايورتي اللي قال الفيدرال ريزيرف انه انا ماي برايورتي شيفتينج برايورتيز انه هلا للامبلويمنت بده يوطوا الامبلويمنت. سو effectively شو قلنا قالنا I don't care about inflation. Inflation can go up. So when inflation goes up, قيمة المصاري بتروح. So بدهم يطبعوا مصاري. So anytime there's printing of money, this directly translates into a higher stock market. And I think this is a rule of thumb in the stock market. When governments print money, stock market go up. لأنه وين بدهم يروحوا هالمصاري؟
ما هو هذا السؤال هلا. Another question. نحن عم نراجع كل شغله معقوله تبج لحتى نعرف what to expect. اليوم the world is in debt. People are not putting money in the banks. The banks are not buying debt, and the governments are not able to pay their debt. علقانين. The only option they have is either to do a kind of a major reset, which is very difficult to achieve, or to print money and get more loans. هلا المضحك الموضوع انه عم بيتدينوا من مين؟ مين انت مديون خيي؟ من امريكا، بس ما امريكا من مين مديونه؟ من تشاينا. تشاينا من مين مديونه؟ It's very weird how this vulnerability play in the market has reached a place that is a lock. So Bashir, what do you think is going to happen on this side? Will it blow, or is there a way out for governments with the over-indebted governments, over-leveraged?
What we saw already بالفيدرال ريزيرف بانك they managed الكرايسيس اللي قطعوا فيها risk of inflation مشوا حالهم من دون ما الماركت يقطع بريسيشن. So I do believe in a world that is extremely uncertain وهيدا the investor لازم يتعود على الفكرة. في uncertainty بدنا نطلع من فكرة اللي بالضبط شو رح يصير. Not gonna happen. There's always gonna be uncertainty. It's just the way life is. So in a world that is so uncertain, the central banks around the world they're gonna manage. They're gonna keep managing. بيمشوا على مهلهم شوية ما منهم شوية. ترامب اجى وخربط الأمور نتفه بس that's always gonna be they're gonna manage usually. That's the usual way. بس from an investor perspective يمكن إذا ما بقى نسأل هالسؤالنا شو هو رح يبج. What if I just try to own a bit of everything?
Okay, let me pause on this one. Can we say that the market has not moved really up? AI moved up. The market moved mildly up. يعني اليوم أنا إذا بيجي بعمل diversification وهي بعد ما حكينا بالالترناتيفز بعد عم نحكي بالستوك ماركت هلا بعد شوي رح نفتح موضوع شو كمان في أعمل وشو وضع الجولد والريل استيت والالترناتيفز بس هلا بعدني عم بحكي على الماركت. Can I say today that if I invest with a major diversification in the market, it means that I have invested نشيل المagnificent 7 in a stock market that is not overpriced, that is not overhyped, that is not a bubble, that could still go up on many sides because it's all related to other things that are not up today. بس قصة ال AI والتك لازم انتبه منها بالمرحلة اللي جاية وأنا بعد عندي upside وإذا صار recession great برجع بشتري على الأوطة وإذا ما صار recession عندي محل لطلوع يعني أنا ماني فوق إذا ما اشتريت technology. What do you think about this, Lynn?
I agree with you. Definitely, the uptrend that we've been witnessing in the past couple of years was directly related to the Mac 7, the AI bubble, and anything related to technology because everyone is shifting, especially big companies are shifting from human capital to AI solutions to make it more efficient, cost-friendly, etc. So هون صار في demand كتير huge. This is why نحن شفنا وقت يقولوا العالم إنه S&P 500 رجع عمل 10%, 15%, etc. بس as you said earlier, look at what really performed within the S&P 500.
But what if we look at the companies that have not, or the sectors that have not jumped, but might if they join AI more? This is a question that somebody asked me the other day.
Like healthcare, for example.
Like healthcare. You know what my answer was? أنت مين to trade؟ الناس بتحس إنه بستفزهم لما أسأل أنت مين لتعمر؟ أنا قصدي أنت مين يعني what experience do you have in this? You are shooting yourself in the foot. Who are you to trade as a person? Who are you to compare yourself to Warren Buffett? بيقول لك Warren Buffett بيقول real estate is bad. Of course he's a money manager with extensive experience. شغلته يشغل مصاري. شغلته يخلي كاش تيرجع يفوت ويظهر من الماركت. انت قد ايه قادر تعمل هذا الشيء؟ قد ايه قادر تمتثل ب Warren Buffett? And that is the thing that people should look at while we go into this podcast's next second phase, which is comparing the stock market to other opportunities and what we can do in the following in the next phase حتى الواحد يكون شو يعني diversified وشو يعني safe.
Depends on, first of all, you need to write down exactly what you want. What are you expecting?
Financial freedom. بدي أنا أوصل لمطرح عندي شيء التكية عم بيطلع لي باسيف انكم. I don't want to trade، ما بدي اربح، لان كمان هالشغله بدنا نحكي عنها ننتبه منها كثير، انه انت اذا ربحت whatever شوي لانك اشتريته بعد شغله انت ما عمرت شيء، هيدا ضمها لشغلك هالشغله.
That's trading. That's not
That's trading.
investing. So you need to figure out what you want, exactly what you want to do. So if you want financial freedom, you need a plan to reach there. So write down what you want exactly. And if you want to be in the stock market, you need to also get to know what are the sectors you want to go in. So we were talking about Warren Buffett. I think he said that real estate is bad, but he also didn't invest yet in AI. So he went and heavily in Coca-Cola, which he decided to go into the Dow more than the other indices he has around. But let's not compare ourselves to Warren. Let's say what can we do? On my side, I adopt a lot the DCA approach. So when things are not clear and when things are high or going down, so in two extremes, I DCA, I dollar cost average my
Dollar
investment,
cost average.
and I do things
يعني you
really
investing بس للي ما بيعرف DCA is dollar cost averaging. It's investing and reinvesting the same amount
exactly being
in a
very steady.
diversified setup over and over the same time, same month or same year throughout a long period of time.
From my end, the Nasdaq, the technology sector is where I see myself investing in the coming period.
But you have to be careful while investing in tech today, because this is where the bubble is. This is where it's overbought. This is where AI is cooking. We believe in major diversification. تعرف ليش؟ لأنه اليوم الواحد عم بيقول نحن we advise our clients to go into plans that recurrently invest. We're not big fans of cash going into the market because it requires trading, it requires managing. And the normal person would rather put cash maybe in real estate, جيب منه rental, حط الرنتل بالstock market and move on. Now, does the average person, you meet 8 people a day as a consultant at Atlantis, does the average person know how to diversify؟ بتلاقي كتير ناس بتجيك باكونتات وعم بتحرتق، عم بتشبق وعم تعمل. قد ايه الاكسبيرينس تبعنا عم بتكون مع هول الناس وعم نشوفهم عن جد نجحوا وحققوا شيء بحياتهم او انخدعوا بالاي اي جامب بهالسنتين الماضيين؟
Yeah. لا the unfortunate definition of diversification معظم العالم عندهم اياها غلط. بالنسبه لواحد diversified شاري شقه ببرمانه وشقه بالاشرفيه، هذا diversified بالنسبه له. No, it's way more than that. It's way more than that. لانه diversification بابسط معناها هو انه you own multiple things ما لهم علاقه ببعضهم. هيدي كيف تتصرف غير هيدي كيف تتصرف، هي بتطلع مش معناتها هي رح تطلع او تنزل، ما خصهم ببعضهم. ساعتها منين ما يجي الريسك اجى ترامب فتح تمه وحط لنا شويه تارفس، حرب بهالبلد هون I'm okay. I'm always gonna be okay. So unfortunately ما بنشوف هال definition of diversification موجودة عند the people we meet on a daily basis. They do believe a lot. They define passive income or passive investing on what we refer to as active. يعني setting up a startup business. بدي فوت مع ابن عمي هون بهيدا المطعم، فوت شراكة معه. Those are not passive.
بس أنا ما بتعاطى بالمطعم، هو بيديره
أنا
بعمل
silent partner.
profit. كأنه أنت مش لازم تطلع بالمطعم وكيف عم بيشتغل إذا أنت invested فيه.
Even if you are a silent partner يعني you have one of two outcomes. إذا المطعم فشل طار الاستثمار، إذا المطعم نجح كتير حذر شو رح يعمل فيك ابن عمك لما هو managing partner. He's gonna buy you out. So it's not something that is perpetual, which يعني perpetuity is one of the conditions of a passive investment. As long as I'm alive, the investment should be alive.
So how do I build this? Johnny, you also meet a lot of people every day who have these concerns. So how do I diversify to build financial freedom؟ يعني أوصل لمطرح عن جد عندي just passive income.
So أول شيء بدي أقوله إنه ما نسمع لأهلنا ورفقاتنا بالdiversification، لأنه كثير بيجينا عالم كمان يلي هن يعني أنت by experience you know إنه هول أخذين فكرة الانفستمنتس من شو تعلموا من أهلهم. You have to have this mix where is the market goes up you're gonna benefit، بس إذا الماركت goes down أنت ما حتتكسر.
Okay, let me build on this. Think of it as building, not profiting. Profit from your business. Build to financial freedom. ما بدك تعمل 60%، بدك تعمل 10 حلال عليك. Does that make sense؟ بدك تعمل 10 حلال عليك. بهالطريقة أنت قادر تعمل major diversification. You're not worried about anything because you're not going to jump 60 and 80 and 100%, but also you're not going to drop that much. But in parallel with investing in the market, whichever way you see fit, we have our way and we love it. We've been experiencing this for 27 years and it works. In parallel, بيقول لك أنا بشتري ذهب بكرة بس يطلع $1000 الذهب بشير أنت رح تندم إنك ما اشتريت ذهب كتير. Is it true, Lynn?
Actually, unfortunately, we're witnessing a lot of هيك scenarios بس العالم تنسى انه انت اليوم بس عم تشتري ذهب عم تدفع بروكر فيه اللي هي $50 عم بيرجع يطلع الألف اللي هي اصلا ما بيطلع الذهب يعني هلا lately عملها because of obvious reasons بس this is not a normal behavior of gold إذا بدي أقول. سو طيب طلع $1000 بعد سنة سنتين ورجعت بعته صارت البروكرج فيه بعدين يمكن أعلى وبعدين ومع الانفليشن اللي هيدا أنت you don't factor it in بتنسوه. سو عندك inflation more than 5-6% يعني شو eventually what is the real profit that you made here؟
بس هلا الذهب خادع الناس. I want to talk about today versus the normal. الناس نسيت انه فايدة البنك 1.5% يعني اذا ابو زيد خالك around the world. بس لبنان موضوع تاني ما رح نحكي فيه هلا. نسيت الناس انه الذهب بيطلع 5% افريج بالسنة. اذا خويت سنتين ثلاثة صار ستاندرد. بيقول لك لا بس السنة الجاية رح يصير 5000 واذا صار اذا عن جد الذهب صار 5000 والستوك ماركت بقي يطلع وكل شيء بقي اب نورمال يعني شيء بده يفقع. ايه ولا لا؟ Something's gonna blow, don't you think, Philippe?
We don't have a clear vision, at least Lambda person interested in watching the markets. How is it going to happen and where is it going to happen? So for me, the approach is still the same. I have a plan. So thanks to you guys, thanks to you personally, and then Atlantis, I was able to build a portfolio 20 years back. Simple approach, investing in a wide portfolio.
Dollar cost averaging.
Sectors, dollar cost averaging over a long period of time. And now I have the freedom to put more money where I want.
When you started, قديش صار لنا 15-20 years نحن وياك. When you joined as our client 20 years ago, even a bit more, you were not the guy you are today.
No.
Because our average client, especially people who don't know us, they don't know what you know. وانت زلمة حويس. That's, you know, you built multiple businesses, you're knowledgeable, you know how to move your money. And yet we were able to help along the way create structures that are safe for you. But the average guy doesn't know this. أنا بفضل AI وبفضل technology ولا بفضل كون هون. They don't know. What we want to establish is that people should differentiate between building and trading. And this is something for a person like you to adopt. عن جد كان شغلة كبيرة. Right? إنك أنت زلمة trader. يعني بطبيعتك ما بتعرف تقعد عاقل. مظبوط؟ هيدي شغلة حققت لك كتير on the personal level والbusiness level. But I want to give out a message to the people about always wanting to make a profit. Always wanting to يلا فليب وملب وعمول وطلع ونزال من ما أنا لا بدي أعمر شيء وروق. الناس ما بتعرف شو يعني lock in period. Okay? I want you to share your experience about being locked in something to take it as a discount at a discount وعمر فيه مظبوط versus إني روح شبق وأعمل trading.
I can give multiple concrete examples. If you are an employee, for example, and you are working in a company and you're paying part of your salary in the social security, if you lock in 20 years, you get all your investing in the social security at 100%. If you do 15, you get a 15% discount. If you do 10, another discount.
Discount يعني خسارة.
Exactly. So you don't get the whole amount. So the idea of building a plan هو بالعكس. If you build a plan like the one that we did, the more you give it time, the more it will deliver for you as outcome, and the more the platform you've built will be stronger.
And it does deliver on the other side. بس بتتحمل أول كم سنة إنك تعمرها.
As you said, it was very hard for me in the beginning, but then
It was.
I grasped the meaning because I tried to do something on my own when I was younger, and I saw that the results I'm getting from a well-built plan is safer, not more profitable, but safer. And that will allow me to, if I have a platform that is solid, it will allow me to go and discover, explore, and do other things while having the security that I have a solid plan that I am taking care of. And that is, as Johnny, as Bashir, as Lynn has explained, very well diversified, so that no matter what crisis happen around the world, I don't get crushed. But I still insist on the cash part. Johnny will have
لانك
a reply.
تريدر عن جد. نحن اليوم جايز انتم ما بتعرفوا لفيليب الا لما recently I never imagined that a person like Philippe would be an ideal client for Atlantis today, and I never imagined that a person like him who is a trader. I remember Philippe on Forex قاعد الساعة 2-3 بالليل عم بيعمل تريدز لأنه بده بيحب هالشغلة، بيحب إنه يقطف opportunities, and yet a person like him was able to adopt a structure. Why? Why do adopt a structure? What are the things that people don't look at? نحن بنقدر نأمنه بستراكشر معينة. بشير
الكاركتير تبع فيليب القديم I imagine هو كاركتير هذا الشخص اللي بحب يشفط بالسيارة. You're spinning your wheels a lot بس السيارة ما عم تروح مطرح، بعدها محلها. الاكونت بيكبر، الاكونت بيصغر، بس over a long period of time بعدنا محلنا. Versus structure, it's not the most exciting thing, but it moves. There's progress. There's some sense of certainty شوي. I know what I'm doing. واضحة القصة. هيدي بتعطيني psychological comfort. برتاح. I can focus on my own business. أنا يا خيي أنا نجار، أنا مهندس، أنا محامي. ركز هونيك. That's your expertise. Let the ecosystem take care of itself. This is what we
that's the
have
whole
to do.
point. Building something passive that is building something
Exactly.
passive. People want to do something active to build something passive. It doesn't make sense at all. Johnny would tell you about the structure because he discovered it as an analyst. The structure that we like اللي فيه بقلبها trust وفيه بقلبها هو القصص اللي الناس ما بتطلع فيهم taxation, succession planning, etc.
العالم تنساهم هول القصص يلي هن بيعطون اذا بدك layers of security. انه انت when your money is in trust you're completely محصن من any risk that might interfere with your investments. And at the end you can remove your trust from one jurisdiction تحطه ب another jurisdiction. Especially كمان the company segregated portfolio company.
هو ايش الناس ما بتطلع فيه.
ما بتنتبه.
Segregation, having
Trust.
your stocks or your assets inside a trust. انك
والبلان.
تدفع 30% dividend على dividend earnings. وهي بتدفعها الناس ما بتعرف. You will pay the 30% لو كنت قاعد بزيمبابوي
صح.
on US stocks. بيقول لك بتيجي المصريات مخصومين، بس ما انت اذا مبسوط انك عامل 8 ولازم تعمل 12 ليه مبسوط؟
Just to note على موضوع كمان الكاش because I want to go back to that. When you have a plan and your plan is working by itself and it's passive and it's investing, why keep cash? يعني أنت consider yourself you're a company معقول تحط معها كتير cash إذا عندها opportunities to invest in something that is going to generate income in the future?
Hey, that's the difference between both of you.
Trading and
Philippe is
investing.
thinking trading. أنا
Yeah.
أنا معه لأن وارن
trading,
بافيت
in
بيخلي
trading.
كاش to grab opportunities if the market falls and when things go up and down. The normal person does what normal person مش أنت abnormal. What we're saying is the normal person يعني the casual investor. The retail investment. ما بيعرف يعمل trading. إذا تركت معه كاش وشغلة قشطت بيخاف منه. شغلة طلعت يمكن يبيعها. ما عنده هيدا المام ولو كان عنده إياه قد عنده وقت يعمل ريسيرش. هو البروفيشنال بفوت بالحيط. Right? Philippe likes taking risks, but on the side, over the years, as he matured as a professional, he adopted systems that reinvest over time. وبعدين عم بيرجع يحرك فيهم، هيدي حريته لإله، مصرياته. أنت اللي عم تقوله what we talk to our clients about. It's not your job. اتركها خيي، عمول شيء أنت بتفهم فيه، واترك when you are reinvesting all the time.
That it become a machine.
It becomes a machine. You don't need cash لأنك you're reinvesting. شو ما صار معك أنت شاري 12 شروة بالسنة على يمكن 25-30 سنة. Let it be. And whenever you decide to stop and use that cash, هون بدي أسأل السؤال الألتيميت. Why do people always ask to أمتين I cash out? الكاش شو بدك فيه؟ ارجع كب لك بحضنك $3 مليون، شو حتعمل فيهم؟ Is this the right question to ask, Lynn?
Sure, and that also backs up what we were saying earlier about gold. إنه إذا اشتريت gold وطلع 1000 و2000 و3 ذهب، إلك قلب تبيعهم؟ لا، إذا بعتهم شو حتعمل فيهم؟ وإذا صار عندك كتير جولد بدك تشتري ستورج eventually لتحط فيه الجولد.
لا، في ناس بتقول لك بحطهم بستورج بالبنك، لأن مرة كنت عم بتسأل على كلاينت قلت له إذا عندك $1 مليون ذهب إذا جت شيء بالبلد بتحطهم بأكياس بينيز وبتركض على المطار، قال لا حطيتهم بخزنة بالبنك.
ستورج كوست
بس
ساعتها
إذا
زاد
بعتهم
على
شو قيمة
حاله
المصاري؟
ستورج.
That's the question.
Exactly, وزاد عليهم ستورج كوست. يعني يمكن حتى بيكون بوقتها he did actually a return that would somehow offset inflation. So talking about that, I believe that people like cash. They like cash because they like fear. They like tangible stuff. So أنا ماني against this, but I'm against using it in the wrong way, because here we need to, those who think long term are the people who will come out winners, especially in uncertain times, because a solid process always beats guessing the future. So, which means that when you have a solid structure where you can actually own real assets like real estate and maybe some gold, but also be diversified in active fund managers اللي هن عايزين to keep cash، بس انت as a retail investor منك عايز to keep cash. هون انت بتحس بهيدي الراحه، اوكي I have the tangible asset that I need to see and feel، بس بنفس الوقت I am very well diversified.
That's why نحن when we talk to a client بنقول له it's a very simple process. A structure of assets that generates an income goes into the stock market in a snowballing effect. دعمها بشوية alternatives. Whiskey investment in Scotland, tequila investment in Mexico. Some of our clients are religiously not allowed or they don't do this. We create other alternatives or rollovers for them. It's a perfect ecosystem. بدي أعمل حملة بدي أسميها إذا طلعت خسرت. لأنه إذا كبيت بوجهك أنا $3 مليون وأنت عمرك 60 سنة شو بتعمل فيهم فيليب؟ The normal person, the person who doesn't know how to
60
trade.
أكيد you have other calculations to do, and as you have said, it's very difficult to stop something that is positive, that is going forward for no apparent reason. So instead of asking when do I cash out, ask how can I increase my passive income, have better returns.
So بدك تكون بستراكشر من الأساس.
Exactly.
مطرح ما بتكبر مصرياتك تتحول هي لمكنة مصاري بتعمل لك انكم. ريل استيت بوصل بأجرهم، اوكي يمكن تضطر تبيع كل 20 سنة تو اوبتمايز شقة أو شقتين، بس منك عم تعمل فليبينج، شقة عم بعمرها تعمل لي أجار. اي بورتفوليو عم بعمله بيوصل لمطرح بقلب الهاويس، بصير هو يعطيني مدخول بدل ما انا لقمه واعمل سنو بولينج، بصير انكم باسيف انكم جنريتنج ماشين. اي الترناتيفز انا بعملهم بيدعموا هذا الشيء، لحتى اذا اجت سنه وانا متكل على السيستم لعيش واحد منهم ما قدر يعطيني اناف، ساعتها انا بروح ببيع برميل ويسكي بسكوتلاند وبجيب 50 60 الف بغطي الخابيه، او اذا مش ويسكي some other alternative that we might have in the ecosystem, and that's what makes a complete financial freedom ecosystem. I want to thank you all for being here today. It was a very interesting discussion.
Thank you.
بنشوفكم بالحلقة اللي جاية. Thank you guys for watching.